Live in HD from the station that brings you more West Texas news. NewsWest 9 at 6 starts now.
New at 6 tonight, this week's oil prices are the highest we've seen since the summer.
In fact, yesterday the price surged to over $100 per barrel. As Jen Kastner reports, the climb is sending a wave of uncertainty over the basin. Jen.
There's some slight relief in the price of crude oil today. It's still high, about $98 a barrel, but that's actually down from yesterday's high, over $100 a barrel. We haven't seen numbers like that since July. Today we met up with some experts to figure out why this is happening and what it means for your wallet. This week, a huge deal was made in the energy world. A pipeline running from the Gulf Coast refineries to a crude oil hotspot in Oklahoma is switching directions.
That was a products line that was delivering refined products back to the north. Well, what they've done is they're reversing the flow now and bringing in raw material, which is the crude oil itself, back to the refineries.
That oil will be sent to the coast, then exported. Experts say the news helped drive up prices Tuesday to a high we haven't seen in months. The prices have been climbing for weeks. Morris Burns says that's completely normal this time of year.
So we're getting past the fall. We're getting some cooler days where we are using some heating oil in the Northeast. We're using natural gas in our area.
He says the winter and summer bring higher oil prices. We're heating and cooling our homes, and we're traveling more. Parallel Petroleum is more than satisfied with the price hike.
We're taking our cash flow and reinvesting it in the wells that we're drilling every day, and that will allow us, obviously, a little more flexibility and more cash flow.
And he says reinvesting more capital means good news for you.
You're creating more jobs. You have drilling rigs working that employ a lot of people. You are employing all kinds of services.
The point Oldham wants to get across is that this only makes us stronger.
Restaurants are full. You cannot get a hotel room in this town. They're full.
But what about gas? Does this mean we'll be paying more at the pump? Burns says it might go up a nickel or two, but it's unlikely.
Unless we see oil go to, $110, $115 a barrel, it's not going to hurt the economy.
What it all amounts to, says Burns, is that right now we're at a happy medium.
The sky is not falling.
Now, experts also say the prices will continue to stay up for a few other reasons. The economy appears to be improving, although not as quickly as we'd like, and tensions in the Middle East are causing a slowdown in their supplies. Reporting in the studio, Jen Kastner, NewsWest 9.
A missing man from Lubbock may be headed to Midland, and police need your help finding him. Here's who police are looking for. It's 64-year-old Eddie Ray Slay. He went missing last Wednesday. Police say he was headed to Midland with a friend. If you have any information on his whereabouts, you're asked to call Detective McClure at 806-775-3701.
What may have seemed like a harmless prank could get one Midland team some serious time behind bars. 17-year-old Robert Blake Whittington is charged with making a terroristic threat. Last week, graffiti was sprayed over 3 different windows at Midland Senior High School. The words, "The school will 2:30 blow up," was sprayed on each window. While officers were investigating, they found Whittington sitting near the auditorium covered in white latex paint. He eventually confessed that he was responsible. Whittington is being held on bonds totaling over $12,000.
Well, we're getting our first look at the Seminole teen accused of making a fake bomb threat. Here's a look at the teen who's accused of making terroristic threats as well. Angel Contreras is being held at the Gaines County Jail. The superintendent says Contreras told a teacher's aide a bomb would go off at the school. School officials did a sweep of the campus and lockers and evacuated students. Bomb-sniffing dogs were brought in from Lubbock, but no bomb was found.
Funeral services are scheduled tomorrow for 2 Coahoma residents who died in a house fire. 60-year-old Petra Arguello and 9-year-old Jacob Arguello died in that fire Sunday morning. Investigators believe the fire was started by a stove that was left on to heat the house. The communities of Big Spring and Coahoma came together to raise money for funeral expenses. The family didn't have enough money to cover those expenses. Again, the funeral is taking place tomorrow at Myers and Smith Funeral Home at 4.
Well, animals in Ward County are being savagely killed and maimed. The Ward County Sheriff tells us in the last month, 110 animals have been injured or killed. Most of the attacks are happening in an area south of Monahans. We're told the animals being targeted are mostly goats, sheep, calves, and small dogs, but humans are not responsible. The sheriff believes it's a pack of around 10 dogs. And the way these animals are being attacked is disturbing. The wild dogs aren't actually killing, they're brutally maiming. Many animals have had their faces mangled, their ears bitten off, and were left alive. Just this morning, the sheriff had to put down 10 animals. So far, there's been no reported threats to people.
3 years after a brutal killing near Goldsmith, an Odessa man has been found guilty of capital murder. It only took an Ector County jury 30 minutes today to convict Willie Hurst. He was also sentenced to life without parole by the judge. Hurst is one of 4 people charged with killing Robert Thornhill back in 2008. Investigators say Thornhill's throat had been cut, he was shot with a crossbow, and then his body was dumped in a pasture northwest of Goldsmith and set on fire. 2 of Hurst's accomplices already had their day in court. Kathleen Newberry received 30 years and Heather Mitchell will serve 50 years.
Every year, men and women injured in the line of duty are brought to Midland for the annual Hunt for Heroes. The soldiers are treated to hunting, fishing, and Southern cooking. It's the city's way of saying thanks, West Texas style. Aniele Ruiz joins us live with more on what went on today. Aniele.
Well, Crystal, I'm at the Horseshoe Arena where 25 servicemen will be honored today for the Hunt for Heroes. Now, these servicemen have been flown from all over the U.S. with their wives here to be honored. Now, all of these servicemen have been injured during combat. Now, earlier today, they were taken to the Vietnam Memorial and to the CAF First Short program. They also had a big parade for them around 4. Now, people lined the streets with signs and flags, and they just wanted to make sure these men felt appreciated for their service.
Welcome home, which a lot of them don't get. They go back home to their communities, and I've had a lot of them say it's as if they never left. I had one say he drives halfway across the country, and the whole community opens its arms and welcomes him home. So it's a unique area to live in here in the Permian Basin.
Well, this right here is their big event, and it is their annual banquet. Today, the servicemen will be presented with their own handguns for their hunting trip tomorrow. Live in Midland, Aniele Ruiz, NewsWest 9.
And coming up tonight at 10, Nick Lawton will take a deeper look into who these brave men and women are, and he'll share their stories with us.
A warm-up is on the way for the weekend, but not before we see another night of cold temperatures.
And the big question, will we see areas that are freezing again? Chief Meteorologist Tom Tieferteller joins us with your first forecast. Tom.
Well, it probably won't get as cold as last night, but still some chilly temperatures on the way as we're seeing clear skies once again. The visible view of the satellite picture, all clear out there across West Texas and southeast of Mexico as high pressure settling in. The winds are not all that bad either. They have calmed down quite a bit as temperatures currently into the mid-50s across the Midland, Odessa, Big Spring area. 56 down towards Fort Stockton. A little cooler in Alpine at 50 degrees, and expecting clear skies to continue this evening as temperatures drop down to about 40 on the overnight low, so not quite as cold as the hard freeze levels we saw last night. A warm-up on the way with more wind. Fire danger is also going up to into the weekend. More on that in your Storm Tracker 9 5-day forecast all the way into the Thanksgiving. Your Storm Tracker 9-day forecast here in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Tom. A congressional report released yesterday say airports are no safer than they were 10 years ago, but that doesn't seem to be the case in Midland. The deputy director of Midland International says they've never had any major security breaches, but they're taking precautions anyway. Next year, they're getting a new body scanner, which promises to cut check-in time and boost security. At the same time, it won't make travelers uncomfortable.
Anything that you might have on your person, they project that onto like a gingerbread man screen. I mean, it's a very generic screen, none of the nakedness that was there before.
The new scanner should be in place by February. The airports in Lubbock and Amarillo are also expected to get those same scanners.
After racking up several felonies and leading Midland police on a high-speed chase, a Mexican man has pleaded guilty in federal court. Francisco Baeza Lozano was arrested back in June after he refused to stop for Midland police. According to court documents, he had been deported multiple times. As part of his plea, Baeza Lozano admitted to being convicted of other felonies in Denver, Colorado, Las Cruces, New Mexico, and in Midland. His prior convictions include immigration violations and heroin distribution.
A Midland man admits to driving pot and illegal immigrants across the border. This is exclusive video of 18-year-old Auden Baeza's arrest. NewsWest 9 cameras were there when he was arrested following a high-speed chase back in September. 5 illegal immigrants were found in the back of his truck. Officials also discovered more than 200 pounds of pot. Baeza pled guilty in federal court Tuesday. Meanwhile, Humberto Paredes, who has not made a plea in this case, was arraigned last month. We're told Paredes used his garage to distribute the pot to dealers in the Midland-Odessa area. Paredes confessed to coordinating the shipments of marijuana between the U.S. and Mexico. He also says he used Mexican nationals to smuggle the drugs across the border in backpacks. He took responsibility for the marijuana seized in the car chase.
It's time for the Spin Zone when NewsWest 9 and Odessa Crime Stoppers team up to give you a chance to cash in on a criminal. Here's Susan Rogers with tonight's spin.
We're back in the Spin Zone where you could cash in on a fugitive. Let's spin the wheel and get this week's fugitive. This week's fugitive is Justin Zertucci, wanted for evading arrest. If you're the first caller with information that leads to the arrest of Mr. Zertucci, it will be worth a cash reward. Call Odessa Crime Stoppers at 333-TIPS and you will remain anonymous. I'm Susan Rogers for Odessa Crime Stoppers.
And your tip that catches Justin Zertucci could earn you a $200 reward. Just call Odessa Crime Stoppers at 333-TIPS. You will remain anonymous.
Well, if you're looking to fill your belly while giving back to those less fortunate, we'll tell you where you can go tonight to do your part.
And one West Texas city has no plans of running dry anytime soon. We'll tell you how El Paso may have found the secret to thriving in these bone-dry conditions. Next on NewsWest 9 at 6.
You're watching NewsWest 9 at 6 with Crystal Cruz, David Marino, Storm Tracker 9 Chief Meteorologist Tom Tieferteller, and Sports Director Trevor Tankersley.
A group of Midland moms are trying to put food on the table for those who have fallen on hard times. The Moms Club in Midland is trying to help stock food at the West Texas Food Bank. The club partnered with Fuddruckers to raise money. Fuddruckers will donate 15% of their sales from today, both in their Midland and Odessa locations. All of the money raised will go straight to the West Texas Food Bank.
It was important that the kids and the families in the area get the food that they need, especially, you know, with the economy the way it is and people losing jobs and just an unsteadiness. So we felt like it was something that impacted kids especially. We would hate for any kids to go without food.
The Moms Club will also have a bake sale going on. All of that money will also go to the food bank.
Well, since this summer, residents in the basin have had to get used to something new, water restrictions. It was a challenging task for many cities, but now with our water supply only projected to last until January of 2013, those cities are looking at every option to keep water flowing. But as we did some digging, we found out one West Texas city may have the answer. El Paso started its water conservation efforts 20 years ago after studies showed their main water source was quickly running dry. They've now turned to several different resources for water. One of those is a desalination plant, but they credit their education and awareness as the key to their success.
We did a lot of billboards, we did a lot of outreach, we did a lot of commercials. Conservation is a big part of making sure that we are providing enough for the future.
El Paso's success didn't happen overnight. Coming up tonight on NewsWest 9 at 10, Gina Martinez will have a special report on how the city was able to conserve water for their future residents.